Hey you guys, it's Kaylee. I am back with another What Sold from last week video. If you guys are new here, every single week I come on and I share what is selling well for me on the two sites that I sell on most, which are eBay and Poshmark. I like to make these videos just to keep track of my own sales, and I've also heard that it is helpful for other resellers to see what is actually selling for other people in the reselling market. And so I will do a breakdown of my sales as well as show you some individual items that you might want to look for. Quick update, I am still doing promoted listings at the same strategy, the same rate, everything with that 15% cap. I have not ended it and restarted it, which I know some of you have suggested. I think I am going to test that out soon, but for now I am still going pretty strong. And I would say that I do think that promoted listings is still affecting my sales in a very positive way, because typically during this time of the year, my sales would start to plummet and I would have to start increasing the amount of listings that I'm doing in order to remain at the same sales level. This year, however, I have not upped my listings. In fact, we have actually been listing less than we did the previous year. That may change soon, but as we are speaking right now, we are currently listing 40 a day, and I've not really had to do anything differently to keep my sales afloat, despite sales plummeting for most people. And so I can only still attribute that staying afloat is due to promoted listings. So it is still working very well for me. I know some of you have tried it out. Some of you have had a lot of success with this strategy. Some of you have not seen a difference in your sales, and some of you have said that you saw a plummet in your sales. I just wanted to reiterate, because I think it kind of got lost in the video I made about promoted listings, but you have to already be having organic, natural traffic to your store and sales conversions in order for promoted listings to truly work for you. It's supposed to be the cherry on top to something that you are already doing and not a replacement for sales. I'm going to do a Q&A video here in a little bit where I will uncover that a little bit more in detail, but this video is about last week's sales, so let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, you guys, so all of these sales happen between June 16th through the 22nd. That is a Sunday through a Saturday. That's how the platform calculates their week, so that's how I calculate my weeks. I suggest you guys do the same because it just makes things so much easier for bookkeeping purposes. Like I said, I had a pretty decent week last week, considering we are in like the dead of summer where my sales would typically start slowing down if I wasn't listing more. We are listing the same amount of items and our sales are remaining steady, and some cases they're also spiking, which is not true for every other summer slowdown that I've had. So I'm really happy with this week. I sold 255 items. My gross item sales were just over $8,000, and my average sale price in total was around $32, which is pretty good for me. Still want to get it closer to that $40 range, but overall I feel like that's pretty good. On eBay, my gross sales were around $7,500, and then on Poshmark they were just around $1,600. So Poshmark has definitely been a lot slower for me. But I do attribute a lot of that to the fact that we are not being as consistent with cross-posting. So we're just getting to cross-posting whenever we can, instead of being consistent every day like we used to be. So trying to get back on that track. I know that I shouldn't have let us get there, but it's where we are at and we're trying to climb back out of it. But very happy with the eBay sales, and been a pretty solid platform for us. Moving on to the individual sales. These sales I pulled, I try to get stuff. I usually try to do this, but specifically this one, I did try to get some like different things that I haven't shown you guys before, as well as a couple of like things that have sacks. I know some of you guys like looking at the mistakes, for lack of a better word. This one was actually a pretty decent sale. It did sit for a little bit longer than I would have liked. I like to move things within 90 days. This was listed at the end of February. It is a vintage Ralph Lauren women's button front maxi dress. Pretty much anything substantial in Ralph Lauren and almost all of their lines. Anything substantial like a maxi, link, or outerwear, something with great materials. If it's plus size, like it has a lot of value and it's one of my favorite brands to sell. So in this case, this is a longer length vintage dress and it's made out of denim. Pretty cool, like country western looking item, definitely a little bit more rare to find. I did drop the price since it had been longer than 90 days. It ended up selling for my dropped price of $112. So again, lots of value in the brand Ralph Lauren. I wouldn't pick up everything, but a lot of things I would pick up. This is another brand that has like insane retail. This probably retailed for, I have no idea. Some of their stuff goes for like $600-800 and then other stuff goes for thousands. I did comps on this. This is the brand Eskandar. Not very high sell-through rate. I do think even though it does retail for a lot, it's very valuable. Very hard sale on a resale platform. So I haven't had much luck with this brand as far as moving things quickly. Could I have held out for a better price? I absolutely could have, but I fear that I would have been sitting on it for years waiting for the right buyer, and that's just quite frankly not something that I'm willing to do. I only paid $5 for this Eskandar linen women's top, and I don't know what I originally priced this for, probably somewhere close to like $200 or best offer. I've since dropped the price. I've been sitting on it for coming up on a year now. So I just want to get it moving. Someone sent me an offer for $80. I went ahead and accepted. Could this person flip it for more? Probably, but they'd be waiting a long time. So if you guys find this brand, I do think it's worth getting, but if you do want to move it quickly, maybe price it significantly lower than everybody else. All right, this brand, True Religion, has made somewhat of a resurgence just because a lot of their pieces are like Y2K. I got this True Religion slim trucker jacket, I believe in wholesale. Actually, yes, it was in wholesale. We paid $20, listed it for $75. It did end up selling for our full asking price. And let's see, this one did take several months to sell, but again, a full asking price sale. I would definitely keep your eye out for True Religion, Y2K pieces, jackets, things like that. Not everything sells well in this brand, but some stuff does. Next up, another Y2K sale. I love picking up vintage Y2K Skechers shoes. They sell so well. They're definitely a bolo. These are a pair of just kind of like chunky Y2K sneaker Oxford kind of things. Apparently these are called Parties Mate sneakers. I've actually never heard of that. So one of my listers must have figured that out. We listed these for around $50 and they did sell for our full asking price. Looks like they did take a couple of months to sell, but that's really great for something that a lot of people pass on. I find a lot of vintage Y2K Skechers at the bins and people are passing on them. Thrift stores, bins, consignment shops. So if you know what you're looking for in the vintage Skechers, they can definitely do well. And you definitely want to include certain keywords like Y2K or chunky. Next up, this is a Spell and the Gypsy dress. We paid up for this for sure. We paid $32 in wholesale, but Spell and the Gypsy is a fantastic brand, and they're pretty well known for their like longer length dresses, which obviously retails for a lot more than some of their shorter stuff or possibly even tops, but definitely a brand that I would pick up. And obviously we felt comfortable paying up for it. We listed this for around $90. Actually, it looks like it's a drop price, so we probably had it priced much higher, and we listed it in February, so this must be a drop price because it was longer than 90 days. This took several months to sell, but it did end up selling for $90, which was my dropped price, so $32 into $90, not bad, and I kind of just wish, we would have priced a little lower in the beginning, knowing that, it would have moved quicker. This is another dress we paid up a little bit for. This is the brand Ramy Brook. This is a really great brand to look for. I feel like they definitely don't have a 100% sell-through rate, but if you have a really nice dress or possibly even a top in the right like look, like more modern pieces, they can perform very well. This is a silk mini dress. It's animal print. I definitely think that the size large and the fact that it was silk is what really pulled this through, not necessarily the style itself. We listed this for $70. It actually sold within a couple of weeks. Sorry, I listed it for $80. It sold within a couple of weeks for our full asking price of $80, and we paid $12 for this in wholesale. Next up, this is Kate Spade. I don't really get excited about finding Kate Spade anymore unless it is a jacket, a dress, or a handbag. Pretty much anything else we don't get excited about, and it's got to be it just has to feel like one of those really nice high quality pieces. This one we paid $15 for. It did end up having light pit staining, all over stains. So for that reason, we tried to price a little bit lower. It still ended up sitting. I've had this since December of last year. So again, we make mistakes on pricing. We make mistakes on picking things up. It's all about learning and getting better as you go and learning from those mistakes. So this is definitely something I kind of wish we just wouldn't have listed. It did take a while to sell. I ended up dropping the price down to around $73. It did end up selling for that dropped price. Next up, this is another Ralph Lauren piece. This is Lauren Ralph Lauren. It is a women's plus size blazer. Ralph Lauren women's plus size tops have a really great sell-through rate. And some of their other pieces like blazers or pants, depending on what it is, can perform well. We got this because it was new with tags. We paid $13.50 for it. So a lot of paying up for stuff in this video from wholesalers. And it was a plus size pinstriped kind of like seersucker style blazer. I don't know what we originally listed this for. It was listed back in November. I want to say probably close to $100. It has since been price dropped and sold on a best offer, I think for around $50. I actually pulled up the wrong screenshot here, so I'm guessing it was around $50. But all in all, I think we definitely priced it up too high initially, and it has since sat. So make sure you're pricing effectively. I'm not sure if this video is going to come out before the FAQ that I am about to set active on YouTube, but either way, that FAQ, it addresses pricing strategies and kind of the best ways to go about it if you're interested in what our pricing strategies are right now. Next up, this is a brand that also kind of like True Religion has some kind of like vintage Y2K pieces that do well. Definitely not everything. In fact, I would say most things in this brand, Cachet, do not perform well, but if they have a certain aesthetic to them that is trending right now, there is a lot of value in that. In this case, this is like a corsety kind of goth style dress. And we listed this for $74. It was definitely vintage. This one also had some staining and stuff going on with it too. It did end up selling for our full asking price, and it took a few months to sell. This is a newer brand to me. It is called Woolly. I am not super familiar with this brand, but it looks like they are known for their wool pieces. As you would expect, they've got the woolly mammoth logo. We've actually, we got a couple of these in wholesale from Trash Panda's Thrift, and they have both sold. I'm just showing you this one right now, but the other one sold as well. So another kind of like known for their wool pieces brand, I would definitely keep your eye out for. And just pointing out, that this is selling in the middle of summer for really good prices and super quickly. This sold for, let's see here. This sold within a couple of weeks of being listed. Sorry, I didn't even say it. I'm getting confused here. For full asking price of $60. So definitely a lot of value. $60 wool sale in the middle of summer. All right, next up, this is a swimsuit brand that I look for. If you look this brand up, it does not have a 100% sell-through rate. So I personally choose to price it a little bit lower. If you were wanting to wait for the right buyer, you could definitely absolutely get more for the item, but I'm here for a quick flip. This is Miracle Suit, and I pretty much pick it up in good condition, any size, any color, and it sells well. This one was new with tags. We listed this for $60. Like I said, we definitely could have gotten more, but I fear that it might have not sold until next year. So it sold for our full asking price of $60. I do think here soon we are going to be coming out of swimsuit season. So I'm just being kind of cautious, with my pricing on swimsuits. This is a newer shoe brand to me. It is called Swims. I have come across actually quite a few of these recently, interestingly enough. And they're known for being like waterproof kind of shoes, like beachy swimwear. Some of them are just like utility, like mud kind of shoes, but Swims definitely seems to have a pretty decent sell-through rate. This one actually came from wholesale. They are a men's pair of waterproof slip-on loafer style. We listed these for $50. They only took a couple of weeks to sell, and they did sell for our full asking price. Next up, this is an Anthropologie piece. This is a wide leg jumpsuit. Anything Anthropologie and substantial pieces like longer length dresses, coats, jumpsuits, things like that, we're definitely at least comping and most times picking up. I do like this brand Daily Practice. I think they do have a following, and obviously a wide leg jumpsuit is very on trend right now. We listed this pre-owned for $50. It did sell for full asking price, and it looks like it only took 6 days to sell. Here is a Free People skirt. I've talked before about Free People, Anthropologie, Sundance, sometimes even Madewell. Brands like those in size large and up tend to move very quickly for me. This is Free People 1, which is one of their like sublines. It was a new with tags, Lorelei eyelet midi length skirt. So lots of good factor stacking, new with tags, size large, and a longer length skirt. Listed this for $55. It did sell for our full asking price, and this one actually only took 0 days to sell. It sold the same day it was listed. This is a shoe brand that retails for quite a bit. I've mentioned on my channel before. It is Fin Comfort. If you look up sell-through rate for this, you might not see 100% sell-through rate, but it tends to sell for quite a bit of money. I know that these retail for like $100 to $200, sometimes $300. They're known for being like kind of like an orthopedic comfort shoe. So lots of value there. So if you want to move it quickly, price slightly lower than everybody else or wait for the right buyer, I choose to price slightly lower. And any shoe that you see made in Germany is a good indicator that you might want to go ahead and look it up. So these are a pair of, they were called the Ceylon Phenomic sneakers. They did have some overall light wear. We listed them for $60. They did sell for a full asking price, and they took a couple of months to sell. This is a brand that I get almost every time I find it. It is Spencer Alexis. They're kind of known for their artsy kimonos like this, kimono jackets. They tend to have this like kind of mixed media look to them. So super artsy, kind of boho, but recently the fairy trend has become very popular, and I definitely think that almost all of their pieces fit in the fairy category. So looking back, I probably would have added fairy into the title of this one. However, we listed this back in the beginning of February. So I think that's why we didn't have the keyword fairy in, because it wasn't as trending, or at least I didn't know about it as much back then. So we paid $10 for this. I originally probably listed this around $75. I've since dropped the price because it has been sitting for a little bit, and it ended up selling at my dropped price for $63. So 10 into $63. In general, this brand does flip really well for me. I don't come across it often, but fairly often. And the larger sizes definitely increase how quickly they're going to sell if you're pricing them correctly. This is another Free People item. These are a pair of linen blend pants, and these wacky shapes right now, we've talked about the barrel leg a lot. These are kind of barrel leg-ish, but also the dropped crotch, which is what this is. Very trendy. So weird shaped pants, be on the lookout for them. We listed these for $45. They did sell for our full asking price, and it looks like they took a couple of months to sell. Next up, this is another one that has sat for a little bit. I listed this back in December. I actually remember picking this up and thinking, I got it from wholesale, but I remember getting it and thinking like, there's not a 100% sell-through rate on this. The sell-through rate was kind of low, but the ones that were selling for a lot. I made the mistake of pricing mine in line with everyone else. Looking back, I should have priced pretty lower than everybody else to get it to move just because of that sell-through rate. But the brand itself does retail for quite a bit. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Dusan or Dusan, D-U-S-A-N, kind of an artsy log and look minimalist kind of brand with higher quality feeling materials. Probably listed this originally around $70. It ended up selling on a dropped price and an offer of $45. And like I said, I listed this towards the end of December. It is now June, so 6 months, twice as long as I feel things should have sold for. So definitely was outside of my business model. I did make some profits out of it, but again, if you're someone that wants to move things quickly, just consider pricing slightly lower. This was another Y2K flip. This is the brand Rule number 925. They are an Abercrombie brand. They no longer make it. So most of their stuff is Y2K because that's back when it was made. And I do really like flipping their pieces. Not everything sells. They make clothing too. But generally speaking, they perform pretty well. This is a Y2K, really nice, thick leather handbag. I actually got this on a day where I wasn't having any luck sourcing, and I was like, okay, we are going to look for style-based stuff and go off of style just so we can, have items and do some factor stacking. So I found this on that day. I definitely thought it was a really pretty Y2K piece. It did have a zipper pull that had been replaced, so that kind of affected the value. I listed it at $50. It did end up selling for my full asking price, and it took a few months to sell. I think it's interesting that sweaters and Christmas stuff is starting to sell, which is insane because we are almost in July at the time I'm making this video. This is an Eagle's Eye. It tends to be a pretty good vintage sweater brand that makes some crazy wacky sweaters. I wouldn't pick up everything in it, but I do think generally speaking, we've sold quite a few of these. This is a really cool Christmas sweater. Interesting, really out there, all over embroidered sweaters like this we will start looking for the upcoming season. And yeah, ones like this just hold a lot of value because they're super unique. You can see this is a Christmas sweater. We listed it for $40. It did sell for our full asking price. And this one even had some spots on it too, and it still sold dead of summer for $40. This is a Lauren Ralph Lauren plus size top. I mentioned earlier in the video, Lauren Ralph Lauren plus size tops do very well. Generally, I get anywhere from $25 to $35 for them pre-owned. However, this one was special because it was an all over equestrian print shirt. So I priced up because of that. Even with spots, this sold for an offer to watcher of $42. So again, definitely an elevated price. And I increased the price because of the equestrian print, which is something that Lauren Ralph Lauren is known for and things people seek after. So $42 for this pre-owned plus size Lauren Ralph Lauren top. Definitely a lot of value and something to keep your eye out for. This is something I found at the bins, vintage Hawaiian dresses, especially during this time of the year, can hold a lot of value. I picked this one up. This is another case where the sell-through rate wasn't there, but the ones that were selling for quite a bit. Should have priced lower because it did have some issues. But the brand, I have no idea how to pronounce it. I think it's Yui Makai, but it is a made in Hawaii, really cool vintage shift dress. I originally listed this for around $60. It ended up selling on a dropped price of around $44. Still a great flip for a Ben's flip, but again did sit. So I've had this since November, so about 3/4 of a year. Looking back again, wish I would have just priced it what it sold at originally. And again, if you watch that pricing strategies FAQ video, you will understand what I'm talking about. All right, this next one is by a brand that used to be very trendy. It is Paparazzi. This brand retails for quite a bit. It's very like Johnny Was inspired. It's definitely one that sits, but ultimately ends up selling for a pretty decent price for the right buyer. We got this one because it was new with tags, beautiful embroidery, kimono. This ended up having a dropped price of $51, which it did sell for, but I did end up sitting on this for several months. And this is another like fairy inspired top. We actually did include the keyword fairy on this one. This is a brand, the Pyramid Collection. This is definitely not a brand I would pick up everything in, but some of their more artsy pieces can sell for quite a bit. This would be one of those cases. You can see the like really frilly, ruffly details, very fairy inspired. Listed this one for $40 and it did sell for full asking price. So that was the last one on eBay. We are now going to dive into some of the Poshmark sales. This is an Eddie Bauer item. I pick up very few things in Eddie Bauer anymore. One of them are the Travex blazers. So this is the Travex logo. Very like sporty, nylon, stretchy blazer, which I think is what men are looking for right now. Career dressy things, but that feels sporty. So I think that's why people like these. We probably listed this around $50, and I think we either sent out a Posher VA offer automatically or we accepted an offer of $40 for this item. Next up, this is Lululemon. Lululemon's definitely become oversaturated. However, these dance studio pants do have a really good sell-through rate still. And I would say in general that the women's pants, if they are a pant and not a legging, so something other than like a skinny legging, generally speaking, does pretty well. These dance studio pants ended up selling on an offer for $53. J. McLaughlin is very similar to Lilly Pulitzer. I've shown them on my channel before. They're known for their bright multicolor prints, and they're also known for their material, which is like a stretchy nylon material called Catalina cloth, which you can see we included in our title. I actually got this dress, you guys might remember it. I got it back when we were in Virginia, and I paid a little bit up for it. I want to say close to $12. And I had it listed closer to $50. It has been sitting. I think maybe it's just the smaller size, the size extra small, because it is a really great print. But someone sent me an offer the other day for $35, and I just didn't want to hold out anymore because, like I said, very soon here in about a month, people are going to switch to buying fall stuff, and I do not want to sit on these pieces. This is definitely a piece that's only going to sell in summer. So I want to get these pieces moving. So I accepted an offer of $35. This is the brand Frame. Frame is known for their jeans. They have a very high retail value. You can see this is a top that retails for $145. I would say that I have sold a lot of their tops for close to $30 to $40. This one was new with tax, so I think we priced around 50-ish, and we accepted an offer of $43. But if you guys come across Frame women's tops in a more modern style, I would definitely take a look at getting it. This is a factor stacking piece. This is the brand Units. I would not memorize this brand, but this was a tunic length top. It had beautiful all over embroidery, really bright contrasting with the black background and the bright colored florals, which I think is just like really trendy right now, the contrasting colors like this, especially on a dark background. And it was also a size large and a silk blend. So I just felt like there were a lot of factors in this brand. It ended up selling for $24. Again, a lot of factor stacking pieces. You're not going to get a lot for items, but they can be good quick flips if they have the right factors. This is a bra brand that is still doing pretty well. It is Cup, C-U-U-P, and we only got $20 for this, but that's really great for a pre-owned bra. These bras you can find a lot at the bins. They're super lightweight. They are typically very thin like this, so that might be an identifier for you to take a look at them. But they're a pretty trendy bra brand depending on the style and size that you have. So keep your eye out for them. We typically sell them between $20 and $25. And I haven't shown Frank and Eileen in a while, so I figured I would show it. We still are doing very well with Frank and Eileen. This is a women's berry plaid top, and it sold for an offer of $59. They make much more than just shirts. They make dresses, which do really, really well, and they also make men's pieces. They make pants, pajamas, all kinds of stuff. So keep your eye out for Frank and Eileen. I feel like if you don't know to look for their certain like aesthetic, it is definitely something you're going to pass on. Somebody asked me recently, because they make both men's and women's, how do you tell what is what? Because they do not follow the button rule all of the time, meaning like the direction of the button is not always, true for this brand. For instance, like look at this top. This is a women's top, but it goes the wrong direction. So you can't rely on that button roll. So what I like to do is the style name is almost always on the tag, or at least it should be. Sometimes it's right here. In this case, it is here. And I just look up, on Google, Frank and Eileen berry top, and I figure out if it's a women's or men's. You can also look it up on eBay. However, I think people sometimes get deceived on, somebody might have listed it wrong, so you don't really want to go off of that. So do your best to look it up, but I would say just figure out the style name and look. And typically also, another tricky thing that this brand does is usually when a brand has a more masculine style name, it's usually men's. Not the case for Frank and Eileen. So, berry is typically a man's name. This is a women's top. So just be very vigilant. I thought that would be worth mentioning in this video. All right, next up, my highest sale. This is the highest sale that I've had in a while. It is not the highest sale I've ever had. I think my highest sale was a Burberry coat for around $850. This one is Gucci though. I personally have never found any high quality Gucci pieces like this. This is a beautiful from 2021 piece, a pretty recent style, beautiful chambray dress, very high quality. I got this from Trash Pandas Wholesale. I did definitely pay up for it. I paid $150 for this, but was willing to wait on the right buyer because it was a more recent piece. It was in excellent, beautiful condition, and the comps looked really good. I only listed this on Poshmark. I get too worried about listing luxury stuff on eBay. It's just a little too volatile, and I don't want to get my account shut down. Even if it's authentic, all it takes is one person to say it's not, and then they'll take your item down. They won't look into it further. So I list this stuff on Poshmark, or I send stuff to the RealReal. So in this case, we listed it on Poshmark. I think I originally listed it close to $600. I got an offer for $526, which I accepted. I believe, I can't remember the exact number. I believe it's anything over 500. Poshmark automatically authenticates for you. So when you make a sale like this, it goes to their authentication distribution center first. Similarly to eBay's international shipping program, it goes to a location to Posh first. And so Posh opened this up, they authenticated it, and it is now delivered to the buyer. So it was authentic, and my funds are safe and clear. 150 into 526. Obviously I have, fees and stuff, but made several $100s on this item, and I am super happy with that. Pieces like this, I say all the time, I want a quick flip, but when you're talking about, netting hundreds of dollars, those are items that I'm willing to wait for the right buyer for. All right, next up, this is not as exciting as the Gucci, but still exciting. This is a North Face boys, so kids, 550 fill puffer jacket. We're upcoming again on that fall and winter season. Back to school's coming up. People are going to be looking for stuff for their kids for fall and winter and starting to buy ahead. So these are definitely pieces I would look for. Patagonia, North Face, kids jackets, especially if they are down-filled, can do really well. This one ended up selling for an offer of $40, which is crazy for a kids brand jacket. So again, keep your eye out for those brands. This is another kind of more luxury brand. This is the brand Ape by A Bathing Ape. So they make, a couple different lines. You really got to know what you're looking for. These pair of men's tapered leg pants ended up selling for $80. This is a brand that you can't really see. It says it right here, but it's a little faded. It is Ksubi, K-S-U-B-I. I think they also are known for their jeans. I believe they're made in Japan, but they are a very sought after kind of like streetwear looking brand. And this shirt ended up selling for $48. Definitely look into that brand. I know it's kind of hard to see on this label right here, but get to know them and what they sell because they are very trendy. This is a Bowden sweater. I've mentioned before, anything that has like a bright multicolor rainbow look to it, I would definitely keep your eye out for. We put the keyword rainbow in here. I have been sitting on this since I want to say the beginning of the year when it was still colder out. It did end up selling, warm weather, a cardigan, and I accepted an offer of $35 for it. But I have noticed in like J. Crew, Bowden, all the mall type brands, if it's got a rainbow look to it, can perform very well. This was an interesting sale. This is the brand Ibcool. They typically have like a UPF fabric. You can see it even says it here. This is a skirt, which is very trendy right now, and it was new with tags. So that is the main reason that we grabbed this. You can see the retail is very high on this, $96. I would say Ibcool in general isn't something that sells for a lot typically. I just think that this had all the right factors and it ended up selling for $40. This is the brand Universal Standard. This brand has their own size chart, which I can see my listers did not catch. So hopefully the buyer is okay with that. I believe that they would have let me know by this time. But Universal Standard, basically their extra large is probably a plus size. They make all kinds of stuff. I would say that their dresses in general are what people are seeking after, but this is their top and kind of like a white dressy shirt. It ended up selling for $42. This is another brand I feel like doesn't have 100% sell-through rate, but if you price it right, can move quickly. Same thing with On Clouds, not 100% sell-through rate in On Clouds anymore. I feel like that happens so fast too. Like I feel like I was expecting this brand to be super valuable for a long time. Not that it's not valuable, but I definitely think it's become oversaturated in most of their styles. These are a pair of women's waterproof sneakers. We ended up selling them for $75. I think, again, it's just one of those things like, are you willing to price it lower to move it more quickly? In this case, the answer was yes. This is the brand Aviator Nation. This sell-through rate is still extremely strong. Kids, men's, women's, I pick it up and just about anything. They tend to have kind of a worn-in look, so you got to know that about this brand. And they typically have some kind of like a rainbow stripe somewhere, which can be a good indicator of this brand. I listed these women's sweatpants probably close to $75 or $80 originally, and we ended up accepting an offer of $63 on the item. This is a brand I do not usually sell. It is Eliza J. I know some people sell this brand really well. I have a pretty hard time with it. It just does not have a great sell-through rate, but there are certain pieces. In this case, this is a maxi length dress that perform a little better. So maxi length is the only reason we got this. It ended up selling for $40. This is a newer brand to me. This is very niche. I'm not sure how often you'd come across this, but I thought it was worth mentioning. It is a linen, I want to say it's pronounced Bourgogne. I don't know. I really don't. But it is a niche linen shirt. And I thought I would bring this up because if you ever come across a linen item and it says Ireland or made in Ireland, I would just look it up. It tends to be a good indicator of a quality piece. And their logo is this little bird right here. This actually flipped decently quickly for $46. So even though it wasn't well known, I didn't see a whole lot of comps or information on eBay. It still flipped very quickly. And lastly, I mentioned it before, Sundance Free People Anthropology size large and up moves very well for me. This is a Sundance size extra large linen top, and it went for $34 on Poshmark.
All right, guys, that is it for What's Sold this week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already, consider subscribing down below. If you hit subscribe and then hit the notification bell and hit all, you'll be notified every single time I post these What's Sold videos. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.